right along with your
So don't chop it
other
up.
greens.
Good grief.
What's this going up the pole?
That's morning glory.
Morning glory.
Annual blue flowers. Don's favorite color is blue.
You say annuals, are they perennial?
I think they're annual. I bought them in a flat.
Oh, I see.
So
They don't come up. In other words, they die and never. You have to plant them over again.
right, but these are supposed to reseed themselves because they reseed.
Oh, I see. They reseed.
Like lamb's quarter reseeds and purslane reseeds.
Oh, they reseed themselves. What is this, milkweed down here?
No, this is plantain.
This is
I
what?
mean, what are these small ones?
This is all plantain. There's a little bit of grass in here.
You said this is plantain?
This is plantain. I'm sorry.
Not
I'm saying that wrong.
Purslane.
Purslane.
That's
Okay.
purslane.
Okay.
Aren't we smart? We can correct the teacher.
There you go. Well, teacher learns too now. I'm not perfect.
That's all right.
But that is purslane or portulaca. It's also in the same members the moss rose, which is an annual flower that you put in your flower bed. Okay.
And you can eat that.
And you can eat it. Yeah.
What is it good for?
It's a very rich source of vitamin C.
Oh, yeah.
Helps you to absorb calcium, which you can get from your lamb's quarter, and they work together in synergy to help nutritionalize the body.
So you put it in the energy soup or something like that?
Yep, sure enough. Or salad.
Salad?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Calcium comes from.
I made some good energy soup, Louise.
That soup was good.
Wasn't it so good?
Okay, you see, now you can do that at home.
Lamb's quarter.
Lamb's quarter.
And this is what
I made a lot of it too, so I have a
Tell
good
us what
morning.
this was.
Is there any?
Morning,
Morning glories.
glories.
And, you
And I
eat
got
that
them
too.
because, no, I don't eat them. I got them because they have a pretty blue flower, and that's Don's favorite color.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't that pretty?
I don't know if they're
But
edible.
we used to take the flour.
Yeah, and suck the end of
And
it.
suck
Is that
the end of
honeysuckle,
it.
though?
Oh, okay. Oh,
That
maybe
might be
so.
honeysuckle.
Maybe so.
Now, what is that
So, but
that's
it looks
growing
like
out the
that-
front of your porch?
Morning glories, I used to suck them too.
You did too?
On this
Okay.
side?
Yeah.
I'd get the flowers.
See,
and we
I
suck
think
them
I
in.
think it's there's a combination. There's Virginia creeper, and there's black caps. They're growing out there.
Isn't that
And I
pretty
think
the way
there's
that's
a-
growing?
Oh,
See it growing up the
yeah.
end of her porch there? All the way up.
Oh yeah.
See
Okay.
it?
I do
Oh,
have
yeah.
some morning glories over there, but I think that's mostly wild grape and Virginia creeper. Okay,
You
there's
live
another
there?
class.
There's another class? Which
There's
kind?
another class at 11.
Oh, dear.
And so we've got to move on and
Okay.
get ready for that.
Are you teaching that one or someone else?
I'm going to be introducing a concept to you in that class, and then Hiawatha's going to take it over.
Okay.
So let's see. Okay. And you're going to have to write this down. I don't want to do it at a chalkboard. Okay. Jared's quick.
Oh, go ahead, because I'll just wash it off if you want, if it helps you.
We'll see. Okay, I want to talk briefly about Hiawatha. This class is the benefits of this lifestyle. Now, my plans changed. I had planned on being here this evening, but I have to leave at noon today. And so I'm going to cram a little bit of a class in right now, and you're going to see a video that will fill in the blank spots this evening, okay? And what I want to do right now is to give you a test, just to trigger your thinking caps, on elimination, the body's elimination channels. Now, there are 6 major elimination channels in the body, and I want you to list those, and I'm going to talk about them real briefly. And we're going to end up on colon health, because that's what you're going to talk about tonight. Okay? Now, what I need to do right now is to see a show of hands of people who do need you need to have equipment. You need to have an enema bag, an implant syringe. Okay, those things, you did not bring those things with you. Okay, so we need 1 set. Does everybody else have an implant syringe and an enema bag?
I didn't bring anything.
Okay, so 2 sets, 3 sets,
I didn't bring.
4 sets. Okay? All right, so we need 4 sets. 5. Okay. All right, so I'll get those while Hiawatha's doing her class, and I'll probably just set them back here, and you can pick them up from her later. Okay? Now, back to our test. There's 6 elimination channels in the body. Who can name one? Skin. Okay. Whoa, 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 one at a time here. Okay, I heard skin. Okay. What do you do? Wait a minute now. What do you do in order to open the skin up?
Brush it.
Okay, you bath. You take hot baths to open the pores up. You skin brush, dry skin brushing with a loofah, okay, or a dry bristle brush, all right? Okay, what's another one? One more. Elimination system. Lymphatic. What do we do?
Bounce,
Okay, walk. Okay, massage, lymphatic massage. Help move the lymph. Why? What does lymph do in the body?
It gets rid of the waste from the cells and tissues.
It nutritionalizes the cells. It also collects waste material and moves the waste out of the body. Through the colon. Okay.
Deep breathing activates the lymphatic.
Yes, the diaphragm is very important in lymphatics. Okay. What's another one? That's 2. What's another one?
Liver.
Kidney.
Okay, I heard liver first. What do we do to help detoxify and cleanse the liver?
We can
Drink plenty of water.
Okay, water,
green drinks.
green drinks,
Wheatgrass.
wheatgrass juice, high implants. You're going to learn about that this evening. You're going to get a handout on that if you haven't already. She's going to give you a handout on that. You can read about it. If you have questions, ask someone because we've all done them. Okay, and they're very powerful. They're wonderful things to use for colon cleansing. Okay, all right, liver. So we got 3 now. I hope you guys are keeping track because I can't remember. One more.
Somebody said kidney.
All right, kidneys. What do we do for kidneys?
Drink lots of good water.
Fluid. Usually juice fasting. Okay? What particular green herbs are good for the kidneys? Parsley. Celery. Okay? Parsley helps the urination flow. Okay? There's others. Juniper berries is another one that you can make a nice tea out of that will help the urine flow to go. Okay, so that's 4. What's another one?
Another system.
Another system. Another elimination system.
Herbal ones. Herbal. Colon, anus.
Colon. Okay, we'll leave him till last, but that, yeah, we'll get to that one. There's one more. It starts with an L.
You said lungs. Yeah, lungs.
So what do you do for lungs?
Exercise, breathing.
You breathe in and you blow your chest up right down to your tummy, and then you breathe out and you take it in. Really blow that out, because the more you can blow out, the more carbon dioxide you're blowing out. The more carbon dioxide you're blowing out, the more carbon is coming out, more waste material. Okay? All right, the last one is colon. There's 3 sections to the colon. There's the duodenum, there's the jejunum, and there's the ileum. That's the small intestine. Then you have the ascending, transverse, and descending colon. Now, the whole digestive tract is part of the colon. Okay? They're separated into little sections because they're physically separated by valves. They perform different functions, but they connect us like a big tube from the mouth right down on out through the anus. Okay? And so when they're sectioned off, they're supposed to do separate jobs. If one part of that is not doing its job, the other ones have problems doing the job. So if you have indigestion, heartburn, gas, those are indications your digestion system is not working. You want to do things to help that system to work so that your elimination system works. Because if your elimination backs up, then all of the other elimination channels in the body has to work harder in order to get rid of that solid waste material. Okay? People who have colostomies or colectomies, or don't have, their colon is not functioning, have a great deal of toxicity built up in their system, because that's our major elimination system in the body. Now, when you get into cleansing and detoxifying the body, we recommend here that you learn how to do enemas, just one fleet enema, bag enemas, 1 quart at a time to help cleanse and detoxify that colon. It is simple to do. It's very inexpensive. You can do it for yourself at home, which helps to give you a sense of self-responsibility. It's very important in this lifestyle.
But how often should you do an enema? How often in a week should you do an enema?
It depends on the person. If you're detoxifying and you're dealing with a degenerative disease, I do 2 a day for, I've known people who've done 2 a day for a year. I know one girl who did 2 sessions a day, and she would do bag after bag after bag until she was clean, until she was getting clear water out. Then she'd go for the rest of the day, and then she'd do the same thing at night. Okay? She did that for a full year, and it did not harm her. It cured her cancer. Now me, I maybe do 1 a year at this point, because I don't need them. Okay? Once you start eating better and your elimination works better, you're going every day, you're going after your meals ideally, then you don't need to do colon cleansing anymore because your body's functioning properly. But when you're in need of those things, this works. It is inexpensive. It's something you can do for yourself that you don't have to go out and say, oh, poor me, I need. Okay? You can say, I've got and I can do. Okay, it's a big difference in becoming, it's a difference in being a victim and being in charge of your own life.
What's the difference between that and a person who gets colonics? Is that the same?
Colonics will help to cleanse and purify the body as well. It does take a series of colonics. They can be anywhere from $35 to $50 a shot. And if a series would maybe be 10 colonics. So you're getting up there in the dollars when you start looking at it from that perspective. Whereas enemas are an everyday thing. You do it at home in the privacy of your own home. And the bag enemas maybe cost you $5. Okay. So it's the repetition. Also colonics, you maybe get 1 colonic in a week. And then you don't do anything for the rest of that week. Well, the whole rest of that time, there's material building up in your system, and it's toxic. But if you're doing enemas and you're doing 2 enemas a day, you're cleaning yourself out every 12 hours. Okay, so there's some benefit to learning how to do enemas. Does not mean you have to go home and do enemas every day for the rest of your life. It's not my favorite thing to do. I don't really like doing enemas. But I'll tell you, when I needed them, I learned how to use them, and I'm glad I did, because they really did help me. There have been times when I can, and you'll see on the video tonight, I tell my whole life story. And so with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and end. We talked about the 6 elimination channels. I wanted you to recap those and know what we do here to help you get those functioning. Okay? So that's what I hope I covered in that little test. It will be recapped in the video that you'll see tonight. And Hiawatha is going to carry on telling you about the benefits of the Living Foods lifestyle. Okay? All right, Hiawatha.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sure.
And then when you finish, if you can remember, just say, well, we'll give her some applause, and then, well, before you say that, we'll say thank you for, so on, and then we'll just give you a clap. All right? Are you all ready? What's his name? I didn't do
Norman.
Norman. Are you all ready, Norman?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. Okay, Hiawatha. Just a little. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Practitioner. I was trained here at the Creative Health Institute. I came here to Creative Health Institute May 1st, 1993. And at that time, I was weighing 220 pounds. I had a lot of pain in my legs and my knees. I was in charge of food preparation, and I was not able to prepare food without sitting on a bench in the kitchen. After being on this lifestyle for only 4 months, I had lost over 50 pounds without really starving myself, because I ate a lot of living foods. And I want to tell you that I'm here to really encourage the health ministers to promote the concept of eating living foods. I want you to consider eating living foods most of the time. If you can't be a 100% living foods practitioner, I would like for you to consider living foods for 80% of the time because of the enzymes. And the program that I'm going to talk to you about today was developed by the late Dr. Ann Wigmore. And I have some information that I'm going to share with you with regards to Dr. Ann's profile. I just would like to mention that we consider Dr. Ann a very brilliant person. She came to this country at an young age from Lithuania. She'd been raised by her grandmother in Lithuania, and the grandmother was an herbalist. Now, Dr. Ann became ill when she was approximately 16 years of age. She was a teenager, we'll say. And she had an accident, and the doctors wanted to amputate her legs because gangrene had set in. She refused to let them amputate her legs, and her parents, she came here to live with her parents, and her parents thought she was really crazy. But she asked them to just put her out in the yard every day when they got ready to go to work, and she would just eat grass from the yard. And as a result, she was able to heal herself of the gangrene, and when she died with both of her legs. Also, when Dr. Ann was approximately 50 years of age, she became ill with colon cancer. She then realized that it was the abuse that she'd given to her body, that she had strayed away from the lifestyle, simple lifestyle, and she decided at that time that she was going to heal herself. And she went on the Living Foods program, and she was able to heal herself. And when she died at the age of 84 in the fire that destroyed the Ann Wigmore Foundation in Boston, Massachusetts, she was really full of energy. At the time of her death, she was managing 2 facilities, one in Puerto Rico and one in Massachusetts. And the summer before she died in 1994, and the summer before she died, she came to the Creative Health Institute, and it was difficult for us to really keep up with Dr. Ann because she had boundless energy. So the living food lifestyle that was developed by Dr. Ann consists of the wheatgrass, which is the most important component of the lifestyle. Dr. Ann advocated the use of wheatgrass on a daily basis for people suffering degenerative diseases. Now, once you are no longer ill, then you can just use wheatgrass as a supplement, because the owner of this Creative Health Institute, Don Haughey, uses wheatgrass as a supplement, and he only takes it a couple of times a week. So if you're well and okay, you can use wheatgrass just twice a week. But if you have any kind of degenerative disease, you should really consider using wheatgrass on a daily basis, along with the enemas and implants. And that's another important component. Enemas and implants for people who are ill, for people who have any kind of degenerative condition, disease condition. We believe in the lower implants and the high implants. And some people ask, well, what's the difference between using implants and having colonics? Well, Dr. Ann wanted self-responsibility. She taught self-responsibility and doing things the simple way. And it's simple and inexpensive to learn how to do the enemas and implants yourself instead of spending a lot of money on colonics. Now, people who are very ill might have to consider having a series of colonics. Because the colonics will definitely get rid of the toxins in the bowels. Another thing, an important component of the lifestyle is the different greens that we grow organically. We grow the sunflower greens and the buckwheat greens. Sprouting is also a very important component because this way you know you're getting organic foods. If you buy organic seeds and you do the sprouting yourself, then the salads that you prepare, the energy soup that you prepare, you know that it's safe to consume, free of pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, and so forth. Another important component of the lifestyle is exercise. Now, it's very important that you exercise. You can eat all the good food that you want, But if you don't exercise, you're defeating. The food will not be able to do your cells any good. You've got to exercise. And we recommend exercising, if not on a daily basis, at least 3 to 4 times a week. Another important component is the use of Rejuvenac. And Rejuvenac is important because it helps one, it prepares one's body to really receive living foods. And we train you here how to do Rejuvenac. There are a lot of recipes. If you don't know how to do Rejuvenac, you really need to learn. It helps to keep the food from oxidizing, and if you make your energy soup with Rejuvenac, according to Dr. Ann, it will last for 24 hours. So you don't have to make energy soup like every, like 3 times for lunch, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And incidentally, Dr. Ann recommended the use of energy soup as opposed to going on a juice fast. She felt water fasts were really dangerous because it caused toxins to be released into the system too rapidly. Whereas if you're going to be using wheatgrass, you'll have a gradual detoxification and you won't get sick. Now, when we say living foods, there's a difference between living foods and raw foods. Raw foods, you just go to the store and go to the produce section and you buy these foods and you just consume them. Now, when we say living, we mean that you're blending them. And the reason we recommend blending of foods is because the blending process helps the food, we call it, to be pre-digested. And it means that your body does not have to use as much energy to utilize that food, to assimilate that food. And this is why we recommend that people who are really ill consider consuming energy soup on a regular basis, maybe 6, 7 times a day, along with food that you have put through the processor, like you chop it up real fine. That enables you to really digest the food better. Because I know myself, when I go to a restaurant, and usually in restaurants the only thing they have is raw foods, when they bring me out celery sticks, carrot sticks, and broccoli, they bring me out these large pieces of broccoli, and it really takes a lot of time to chew that food. I really don't enjoy it. Whereas if you put it in your food processor, it really cuts it up in small pieces, and you are able to chew that food and digest that food without consuming a lot of time in the chewing process. And speaking of chewing is very important. It's recommended that you chew your food, each mouthful, 20 to 50 times. And that goes along with juices also. Like one person was saying, in fact, I saw a lady at the breakfast, and she was just drinking this juice so rapidly. Before I could get to her to say stop it, she was the glass was halfway down. So I went to her and I said, look, you're consuming your juice too rapidly. You're supposed to pretend that you have all this fruit or vegetables in front of you, and you're going to be chewing your juice instead of just drinking it down. So each mouthful of juice that you take, you're supposed to chew, and that activates the digestive process. And you're better able to handle your food, and you'll be better able to utilize it. Now, like I was about to say, living food consists of the blending of foods, the soaking of foods, the fermenting of foods, and sprouting. Now, when we ferment foods, we use Rejuvenac and sauerkraut and seed cheese. And seed cheese is our substitute for protein. Like, people are very concerned about getting enough protein. Well, you don't have to worry about protein if you're consuming 6 to 9 vegetables a day, because all vegetables have protein. You're going to consume 2 fruits, at least 2 fruits a day. 1 carbohydrate, and 1 protein food, and we consider nuts as a protein. And then there are a lot of, like lentils are high in proteins, garbanzos are high in protein. So when you're deciding to prepare your menu of living foods, there's a way that you can balance it to ensure that you're getting the proper amount of nutrients. Because a lot of people are really concerned about getting enough protein. So a long time ago, this is a formula that Dr. Ann developed, and she recommends that we eat 6 cups of a variety of sprouts daily. Now this doesn't have to be just in a salad. This can be in your salads, you can juice it, or you can make an energy soup out of some of them. So you have 6 cups that you're going to consume on a daily basis, and you're going to use them in a variety of ways, and you're going to use a variety of sprouts. It's suggested that you have at least 2 large salads, 1 at lunchtime and 1 at dinner time. And these salads will have a variety of vegetables. And try some new vegetables. Don't just use the same vegetables all the time. Use a variety of vegetables. Use new vegetables, like jicama. Some people, this is a brown root vegetable, and a lot of Mexicans use it. And you'll find that it's delicious. Kohlrabi, it's a new vegetable for a lot of people, and some people are afraid to try new things. But you'll find that some of the vegetables that you'll try, they are very appetizing, and they have a different type of a texture, but you'll begin to enjoy them. You should drink at least 2 glasses of juice on a daily basis, and this should be freshly extracted juice. And I asked Norman Frederick to bring his green power today so we can demonstrate it to you. And it's a wonderful machine. It's a wonderful juicing machine whereby, usually you have to consume your juice immediately. Well, with the green power, you don't have to worry about the juice losing a lot of its nutrition. And according to the advertisements about that green power, you can really use juices that have been extracted like 2 days ago, and they still are pretty nutritious. In fact, the quality of it is comparable to the quality of the juice from a narwhal. It's very important, like I said, that you consider eating your fruit. We don't recommend the juicing of fruits at all. We recommend the juicing of vegetables. Vegetables are builders, fruits are cleansers. And in the building process, you want to build your body as well as cleanse your body. And most people drink a lot of orange juice every morning, well, especially for a person who's diabetic, a person who's hypoglycemic. That's too much concentrated sugar for you to consume. So therefore, we recommend that you do not juice your fruits. You eat them. Eat the whole fruit. Take an apple. Take your time and eat it. Eat a banana. Eat a couple of cherries. Eat a pear. Eat the fruit and juice your vegetables. I'm in a study. I'm not aware of a study, but I believe there's a correlation between the high incidence of kidney problems among African Americans and the amount of pop that they consume. Red meat should be avoided. And the reason for avoiding red meat is because of the fat content of red meat, the saturated fat content, which is really harmful for your arteries. Coffee and tea should be avoided unless you're going to be using herbal teas. And there are some good herbal teas that are very nutritious. And if you'd like a list of those, we'll gladly talk to you about some teas that you can really consume and you'll find them beneficial. And green tea is one such tea. There's been quite a bit of a write-up about the virtues of green tea. Isn't yogurt okay? Well, yogurt is okay for people who on a transitional diet, but yogurt, like any dairy product, can create a lot of mucus in the system. And some people can handle mucus-forming foods better than other people. Be sure to avoid milk and stop giving milk to your children. If you're going to use milk, make sure it's a nut milk or rice milk, something like that. And water is so important for your system. But tap water is very dangerous. Try to use distilled water, filtered water, or reverse osmosis water. I would like to know if there are any questions that anybody would like to have, like to have answered at this time. Yes, ma'am.
Could you explain what a reverse osmosis is?
Well, I don't know. Does anybody know the technical explanation for reverse osmosis? All I know is that it goes through several filtration systems, and we have one there in our sprout room. And the one that we have is purchased by was purchased from Nature's Sunshine. So I don't know the technical steps involved in reverse osmosis, but I understand that it leaves a lot of the minerals. It only removes the harmful ingredients, the harmful things, the harmful bacteria, and so forth. And the difference between it and a regular filtration system is that when you have a regular filtration system, you might have bacteria growing in the filter. But using the reverse osmosis system, you don't have the bacteria accumulating. Now that's one of the advantages I know to the system. And the fact that some people say you need your minerals in your water, well, with the reverse osmosis, you have the minerals left in the water. Now with distilled water, everything is taken out of the water. The water is 100% pure. There's nothing left in the water. If you're going to be taking minerals, if you're going to be consuming a lot of vegetables and juicing, you don't have to worry about minerals. But people who are not consuming juices and not eating vegetables should be concerned about minerals.
What that they've also found that in most of the soil in this country is mineral deficient. I think it has some potassium and a couple of other things that they need to make the crops grow. And otherwise, there's very little, if any, minerals.
Yeah, and that's why it's really suggested that everybody consider taking a mineral supplement that is not harmful and it would be beneficial to you. But take a good natural one. Don't just get a cheap one from some of the health food stores. Some people go in and buy the cheapest product that they can find. Don't do that. Buy a good quality product.
I went to a class where they were talking about the reverse osmosis, and they said that it was better. It's better than spring. It's better than tap, but it's not as good as distilled because the one thing they said they couldn't figure out was how they could keep the minerals into the water when it wasn't in there in the first place. So that's why they said it's better to go distilled. But if you can't go distilled, then go that. But they didn't advise us to go out and buy one.
Like Hiawatha was saying, our bodies only use the minerals in a positive way that have gone through the plants and are colloidal lives. So that's why now these minerals that are coming out that are colloidal are so beneficial. We either get them from the plant, or when the plant soil is deficient, then we have to use them from the seabeds because the body recognizes those as food. Those minerals in the water, the hard minerals, collect in our joints and stuff, and so that's why they kind of looking at those kind of minerals as not too beneficial for us.
I would, are there any other questions?
I wanted to ask a question about the nut milks as compared to the other type milks. There have been some concerns about mixing proteins and starch, proteins and carbohydrates. And I know milks can be seen as slightly different. I know the practice in this country is to have milk with cereal, a little milk into just about most of us grew up with that practice. And if there would be any comments or guidelines as to how we would use nut milks and seed milks.
Well, I know that in Dr. Ann's book, Beyond Doctor, Dr. Ann suggests that you use the nut milk as a meal, you know, separate, not combining it with other foods. You would use it between regular meals. And mostly for people who were in need of gaining weight. And this is how she recommended. And otherwise, like your nuts, your seed cheese would supply, you would be using nuts, you know, to make your seed cheese. Now, with regards to using cereal with your nuts, cereal and then the nut milk, some people can't handle that. What happened is this morning we had sesame milk with oats and with sesame milk, oats, and some other combination. And that didn't agree with me. It didn't agree with me. So actually, I have a very sensitive digestive system. And I think it was the sesame milk with the oats that caused me a problem. And it really reacted like I had been drinking alcohol. I would belch, and I said, gee, that breakfast didn't agree with me, you know? So actually, now, you can't just give a general rule for food combining because some people have a stomach of iron, it seems, and they can just consume anything. But other people have weak digestive systems, and right away, they react in a negative way. And for example, like there was a girl at the table this morning, and she was saying that she couldn't eat melon, and that whenever she ate the melon, she had a reaction. And whenever I eat melon, unless it's pureed or juiced, it also gives me a problem. So it depends on different systems. Yeah, so if you can't handle the nut milk with the cereal, it's best to avoid it. See, I will never make that combination for myself again. I didn't make it this time, but I would avoid consuming. Yeah. Any other?
Excuse me, are there any nuts in general that we should avoid, period? Any nuts that's just bad for you? I love nuts.
Well, there's
And
some
I just
nuts that
eat
are
them.
hard to digest, and according to the way we are trained in this living food lifestyle, all nuts should be soaked. That makes them easier to digest. But cashews are very hard to digest, so you shouldn't eat them as often as you do almonds. In the living food lifestyle, it's suggested that you eat almonds on a regular basis, sunflower seeds on a regular basis, sesame seeds, and pumpkin seeds. Now, those are the seeds that are recommended on the living food lifestyle that was developed by Dr. Ann.
Would you repeat that again?
Almonds, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, and pumpkin seeds. Is there any other question?
Now, you don't have to soak these?
Oh, you have to soak them all.
Even the sunflower?
Yes,
Okay.
soak all
All
seeds.
seeds, okay.
And blend most seeds.
Why do we soak them? What's the purpose for that?
Number one, it would make the seed easier to digest. And number two, you know, that skin that's on the seed. That skin on the seed has a harmful substance on it. For example, like the skin on the almond, it would be better for you if you would get that skin off. It's a lot of trouble though.
What about when you put it in a seed grinder, like, put it in the seed grinder to make a powder out of it for something like you're gonna make seed meal or something?
Now this is what I found in using almonds. I found that if you're going to consume whatever it is that you use, make out of that almond meal, if you're going to consume it right away, like within a day, You don't get a bitter taste. But experiment with this. Make up an almond loaf with something, with the skin on it, and keep it for several days. And you'll find that it gets a very offensive taste, a very bitter taste.
But what about the digestion? You didn't soak it, you did it dry, you know?
And use it in a meal instead?
Yes.
And how would you be using it in a meal?
Just anything, like any recipe you want to use, or you just mill it up into a...
You know, I think it would be easier to digest,
Okay.
definitely. Because just like when we make the banana pudding or the banana pie,
Mhm.
we grind up the flax seeds.
Right.
Yeah, it would make it easier.
Okay, I noticed you didn't mention pecans and walnuts.
Well, like I said, there's some nuts that are considered to be everyday nuts. And there are some nuts that are considered to be holiday nuts and special occasion nuts. So pecans are supposed to be used for special occasions. Number one, they're very high in fat. And the walnuts are higher in fat than the almond. You know, those nuts that I mentioned to you, if you notice, they are not high in fat. The almond is not high in fat. Sunflower, pumpkin, and it's the fat content that we're concerned about.
Okay.
And incidentally, speaking of fat, people who have a problem with cancer need to avoid fat because fat really feeds the cancer.
However, when you go to the health food store, you'll see two different kinds of almonds. One is white. They say it's raw. It does not have that shell on it. The other one's brown with that shell that you're talking
But you
about.
can get
But you
raw
still-
ones with the, you can
You
get
can get the
raw
raw
ones
ones
with
with
the with
But
the
I'm saying,
skin on
but
it.
if you get the raw one that doesn't have the skin, then all you still just soak it. Then after you dry it, you can still grind it the way she's saying. That's the best way,
Well,
right?
I imagine if you're going to get them without the skin, you can
Right.
grind them right away.
Okay, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Okay.
But why would you get them without?
They're just they're
have-
raw. They haven't cooked them or done
Okay.
anything. They're raw.
Well, that would
Does
be-
it make a difference in the nutrition with the skin off? with
I
the
don't know, I imagine it makes it more expensive.
skin? Yeah, probably so.
So,
Yeah, it does.
so, and I'm not worried about that.
In some of the studies, the teachers will say that any alteration of the food, the further you take it from its natural state, the more likely it is to lose some nutrition. So Mother Bracy used to tell us the way you approach almonds or walnuts or anything is to find them in their shell, in their hard shell,
Yes.
crack it open,
Yes.
and then begin to process. And the sooner you consume it, the more the nutritional value would be. So I
That
guess
makes
that
sense.
would make
Yeah,
some
it
sense
makes
with the
sense.
Yeah.
white, you know, what is the
Yeah.
process they
Yeah.
use?
Yeah.
That's one of the things you would want to ask. How did they take that brown off? And if there was any use of any, you know, additional substance, that would have a lot to do with the value of it.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, then, so I guess if you have no other questions, we can end at this point, and I have quite a few handouts that I'd like to give you. And thank you for coming, and I do hope you have benefited in some way.
Oh, we have.
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay. So now I'm going to pass out the handouts. I want everybody to get a copy of this Supreme machine so you'll know what wonderful, marvelous bodies we have. And here's an article here about your bodies. Oh, here's some here. Hold. That's what. I'm also passing out a Your Opinion sheet, and I would really like to have your opinion for future health seminars with regards to the location, what other kind of information we can give, the presenters that we can use, and so forth. So take one of these opinion sheets and then here's the body's many cries for water. It talks about how important water is for the body. Water helps to get toxins out of the system. It helps to lubricate the muscles and the joints. So it's very important that you consume good, healthy water. Now here's a write-up here on Dr. Ann, a profile of Dr. Ann, with some information about her death. So just put this in your notebook or someplace and keep it for future reference. I definitely want all of you to have this copy of the daily schedule for meeting your nutritional requirements. I think I have just 2 other pieces of paper. And if you need to put holes in your paper,
That has to be,
Lori,
that has to be fixed.
it's broken?
And it's just one end that's not, we have to clean it out. That's
So forth.
you want to give you.
What time is it getting to be?
5, I think.
About 5 afternoon, 5 to 10 after 12.
And look, I tell you what, now it's time for some people to start helping with food preparation.
Yeah.
And the other people, I want you to stretch a little bit, and then I want you to come in the video room, because there's a video that I want to show you, and it's called High Energy Diet. And it talks about the importance of eating living foods. And it's given by a doctor, Dr. Graham, who owns a clinic, a resort in Florida. And he does a real good presentation with regards to how to make the food taste good. He even gives recipes. So while we're, who's going to be helping with food prep?
I'm going
Okay, we have 2 people helping with food prep, and the
Yeah.
rest of the people can stretch, jump up, and then bring a chair with you and come in here.
Degrees, letters, and awards,
Start
which
that
are
again. Start that again.
Good afternoon. My name is Winifred Joyce Williams. And without outlining my life of degrees, certificates, and awards, I want you to first know that I am a child of God. I am qualified to stand here and talk to you about being well and being healthy because I have changed my lifestyle. Coming here only reinforces into my mind what I practice, but not fully. Now, I can practice fully, and I hope those of you who go out to be ministers take in fully what we're getting here and be ready to practice it. We have within ourselves a healing power. We can heal ourselves. We can teach this only if the people we speak to are receptive. I have known for a long time that I had a power within me to achieve and to do. My first heart attack and open heart surgery was not successful, so another was done. And when I came out of it, perchance I ran into Jewel Cooper. Well, I knew Jewel from when she was a resident. She was a student of mine in radiology. And so she told me she could help me improve my health by doing what we're doing today. I did it for 15 years. But getting caught up in the madness of wanting more, achieving more, getting close to retirement, I decided I'd better put a little bit more aside so I could have more when I retire. And of course, when you caught up in this madness of getting and achieving and having, you take away from that which is most important. Self. Self. Reward from those things which are important in healing. And so, of course, I went down again. But because of the severity and what I was going to be faced with, because 5 years ago, the surgery was impossible. And the doctor said he could not guarantee me that the surgery would be successful. But knowing me and what I had achieved to that point, I told him that was irrelevant because I know within myself he could only do what he is qualified to do and what God has given him the ability to do. The rest resided in me. And so being the 12th person to have this open surgery, where your heart is removed and operated on, complications set in. They could not stop the bleeding. So they froze my body for 3 days in hopes that the bleeding would stop. And so then the doctor said there was nothing he could do for me. And so they put everything back in and closed me up. And I came out of it. Now, I came out of it the same way I went in. I went in with the knowledge that only through God, within me, could I achieve. I know what it is like. I can stand here and say I know what it's like to be on the line to see the horizon, because there is a horizon, and you can see it. If you draw within yourself that power of healing, and you want to be healed, and you're willing to accept that you have the power within you to do so. Hiawatha asked me if I would come and discuss with you from Hidden Power for Human Problems by Bayless. I read Bayless. He speaks on what I already know, what I've experienced. I also read Power for Living, which, as most books on power, drawing your power, deal with the same thing. You have the power. But how are you going to exercise this power? The first thing you have to do is be willing to look at yourself honestly, know who you are, what you're about, and willing to change. You have to be honest with yourself. You cannot go along from day to day doing the same old things that you've always done, saying the same old things you've always said. The same way you're here putting in healthy food, perfect food in your body, you must do the same thing with healthy thoughts. Before I went into surgery, I cleansed my mind and I cleansed my heart. It kind of hurt a little bit. I know I had said hurtful things to people. I know I had said things that people felt had caused them to lose positions and things. I didn't feel that my word was that powerful, but they felt that it was. So what I did, I set about the course of contacting anyone I thought that I had done something that was hurtful or harmful to them. And those that I couldn't reach by phone, I wrote to them. And I let them know, if in my life I have done something that was hurtful or harmful to you, I'm asking your forgiveness. I did not say I'm going to surgery. I didn't say, because all that was relevant. The healing had to begin before the surgery began. And the healing begins when you let go and let God direct you in the right direction. You must be honest with yourself. You must come face to face with your own shortcomings and your failings. If you do not do this, you cannot hope to be successful. If you intend to be a minister, people do not want to hear about all this that you had, because all of us have had something. What they want to see is what you are now. What you are now. What you are portraying. The image that you are giving them now is one of what? Health. Profound health. A joy of life. A joy of living. And one of service. Because that's what we are about. Service. We are servants. We are servants of God. And we must portray ourselves in that manner if we want to bring others into our fold to believe, eat, do, think, and act the way we do, then we must portray ourselves in that manner. Now, Baylor states that the spiritual law demands honesty, facing the truth, no matter how painful, and we have to practice what we preach. You can't tell someone you want them to do something if you aren't doing it yourself, and they turn around and they see you doing something else. You have to practice what you preach. We can bring into our life that quality of living we truly desire. It doesn't have to be material things, because as we all know, most of you now know that material things are only for but a minute. If someone doesn't steal them from you, they evaporate, they deteriorate, or you eventually give some away. So material things are not what you should be about. It's the spiritual, that oneness, as we are one in here at this time, being one in accord with ourselves. We can create a quality of life free from stress. We can bring into our life anything we wish through that infinite creative force that is within us. The force is operating now. The force is operating at this moment in your life. We must let God and let go of all those mundane, immaterial things in our life. Like the food, it must be perfect. You're not going to put anything in your mouth and in your system that is not right and perfect. So, too, our thoughts must be right and perfect. Not backbiting, not being ugly with one another, not trying to disassociate yourself from someone merely because I don't want to be bothered with them. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be in that group. Getting off by yourself. Those are all poor habits. Things that we have to overcome. We've been guilty of it. I've been guilty of it. At some point, each of us has been guilty of that change. Health challenge is one thing, but self-challenge is the most important. We must face that challenge within us to change for better. We need to choose to let God think those thoughts, those perfect thoughts through us. If we do this, that creative universal law that has brought us to where we are today will work within us. To direct that creative process, we must understand ourselves and others. Understand what we're about and what we really want, and where we're going to go with it when we get it. We must form correct images. 2 times I've used images. The first time when I was a young woman, I attended Unity, and they had posters. You could select any color you wanted. White was a spiritual poster. Yellow was one of peace, and I think they had a very light blue one, which reflected something else, which I don't remember at this time. In the center of the poster, you put a picture of Christ. And then around this center, you placed all those things you desired. Well, being a young woman at that time, I left home, left my husband, brought my baby and moved to Detroit. I wanted everything, because I left everything behind me, because I wanted peace of mind. But when you're struggling with a child in a new place, you find it's not as easy as what you left behind. So I was glad to be introduced to this form of Unity, because it gave me an opportunity to put on this chart everything I wanted. I wanted a home, I wanted a car, I wanted furniture, I wanted education, and I wanted to make money. And I found a picture that had a barrel of money. And of course, you know, I had that barrel with all that money on that chart. Because listen, that's what I really wanted. I really wanted that. Well, as time went on, I got a nice flat. And I got some of the furniture I wanted. It was too slow. I said, I'm going to have to do better than this. I said, now, it's got to be, if I want this, I'm going to have to see myself, portray myself in a different manner. I said, I want a better job. I want a good job. And if I get the good job, I'll make the money and I'll be able to get all these other things. So then I made the big spiritual chart, and I saw myself at a desk, and then I saw myself still with this money. So that money went everywhere. Every chart I made, that money went everywhere. And then I had all the other things to fall in afterwards. Well, needless to say, you put this chart aside. And if you believe, and as I said, belief in yourself is what makes you achieve. Because when you believe, you do achieve. And so I did achieve all these things. And then I had it all. But the only thing about having it all is, what are you going to do with it? You're going to want more. You see, you want more. And that's where I fell down. And that's where the heart came in. Because I wanted too much. I could not be satisfied with having what I had asked for. I did not use what I had achieved in a loving and giving manner. Certainly selfish. Certainly very selfish. I didn't think about anyone but myself. I thought about my status. You know how we get puffed up? I thought about all this money. Because to me, making $40,000 and $50,000, that was it. You understand? In a day and age when few of us made it, I thought that was it, and that was the most important thing. But God showed me that was not what is important in life. And all those things went by the wayside, because it all goes back. And there you are. What am I going to do? And I realized that if I'm given that opportunity again, I will know better how to treat myself, and then how to be of service to others. And so then I was given that opportunity, and I went into education. And being a missionary, I devoted myself to my class and to my school. They became my mission, as well as my community. To be a servant was the foremost thing in my life. But then again, once you get caught up, you want to do more. One thing you must have in your life is balance. You've got to be balanced. You cannot expect to have it all over again if you don't weigh it out and balance it out. Only this time, money was not necessary, because, like my friend here, I gave most of whatever I made, I gave it away. I bought my students, bought for the school, bought for in the community. Whatever anyone needed, you know, I was there with them. But I wanted to achieve more in another way. And had I been content, because all was well, there was nothing wrong with the way I was living then, but I still wanted more. And this is what we have to come to terms with. When is enough right? And be satisfied with that. Be content with it. But there I go again. And so I really stretched myself out, and that's when I had this last heart attack, when I went through all of that. And that's the reason why I said, you can change. You can bring about within you. It is within you. And I said, if I'm given an opportunity again and come to this, whatever is placed in my way that is right, that is proper, and in harmony with God, then I will not strive to go back and over the bounds. Because when you do that, it becomes vanity and vain. And so therefore I always say, that's when someone says, we want you to do such and such, want you to chair this, I say, oh, that's so nice. I say, but I'm not able to do that now. And I say, thank you so much. Because one, not that I couldn't, but what would be the point? Because again, you're getting into that same thing you ask God, if you give me a chance, I will not do. Because it is vanity, it is vain. There are others who can do it better than you, as well as you. And if not, teach them. Teach them to do. Because you have something to do. You have something to do. If we just do what is placed before us and do it in perfect harmony, all will be right within our life and with those we come in contact with. That is the creative law. It's the law of the universe. That is how we are here where we are today. Our higher order of thinking has brought us eons to where we sit today. It came through harmony and balance. It did not just happen overnight. It came through cultivation. We are here because we have cultivated our minds to believe that right thinking, right understanding, right living, clean thoughts, and proper diet will bring us to a better understanding with ourselves and those around us. We could not be here if we did not think that. We would not be here if we did not want to believe. But what we have to face is that challenge within us to change and be willing and ready to make that change. Baylor states, to achieve self-mastery, we must change from that which is undesirable to the desirable. It is better to build a consciousness of health than to fight illness. It is better to develop the inner consciousness of loving harmony and living in harmony than to try to battle discord. You can't battle discord. You can fight all you want, but if there's discord around you, it's going to continue. I don't care if you battle it, because all you're doing is it's like water. You just keep stirring it up, muddy water. It's not going to get any clearer. It's the same way with discord. If you continue to battle it, it's not going to change. So what you have to do for it to be effective is be willing to face it and let that infinite, divine, creative force in you change it in your life. In other words, you let go and you let God. You let Him guide your thoughts. And the way to do that is to get off by yourself. Now, someone said the other day that they couldn't keep still. When I was speaking about meditation, like we meditated, like, oh, I can't do that. I can't sit still for 1 or 2 minutes. If you can't sit still, you're always going to be in discord, and there's always going to be something going on in your life. Because nothing can get through to the mind, the soul, the spirit, or the heart if you don't sit still and get quiet within yourself. You have got to find what I call a secret place wherever you live. You got to have a secret place that you can go to and get quiet. It can be a bathroom. When I first went to Northwest General Hospital, I was amazed at how ugly people could really be to other people. And every day I'd say, Lord, you gave me this job, and I needed, this is the most I made at that time. And I said, I don't want to lose this job. But these people are so ugly, and they mistreat these patients. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I said, I just got on the job. I've only been on the job 2 weeks. I've only been there 2 weeks. I didn't want to jump up and leave. I didn't know where I could go. It was just learning Detroit. So something, or rather, in my mother's house was unity. I thought I had good, silent unity. And I picked it up and I read it. I opened that page, and it had just what I needed that day. So when I got up the next morning to go to work, I put the book in my pocket. And when they'd start acting ugly with those patients, and manhandling some and mistreating some, and it got to me. I asked my supervisor, I said, I have to go to the restroom. And she said, oh, go ahead. She says, you don't have to go around there. She says, just go on and just use that one we have in there. She said, they'll be used. I said, thank you. And I'd go in there and I'd take out that silent unity. And I'd stand there and I'd read and read and read and read until I felt relieved of that pressure. You understand? And I kept reading that word, whatever the message was for that day. May not have been for the days, like they have days on the 15th of January or such, but whatever the message was that I turned to that day is what I read, and it helped me. And I stayed on that job for 10 years and became a supervisor. And then I changed it around. And when I left there and went to Ford Hospital, it was the same thing all over again. But this time I was reinforced. You understand? I was reinforced. And I had more men under me than women. And some of them rejected the fact that here comes she's going to be over us. I didn't let it bother me. But one thing I did not, and I stated emphatically, you will not misuse patients in this department. If you don't like it, we will go upstairs. Well, they had not heard that, especially from a woman. Who was she talking to? Who was she talking to? Who was she talking to? And so one day, I kept hearing this. I said, what's going on in there? What is this? What's going on? And I looked in the window, and they had this elderly man on a cart, and he was senile, what we say probably now, Alzheimer's. And I guess for their joy, they were just bumping him. You know what I'm saying? I said, now wait a minute. I said, now these are two toughies. Two toughies. And I said, now I've got to be able to handle this in a manner that my point is put across, and it doesn't have to happen again. And I stood outside the door, and someone says, open that door. I opened that door, and I flung that door, boom, hit the wall, and I said, what's going on in here? What is this? So we don't mistreat patients in here. If you don't want to x-ray this man, bring him out, we'll get a student to do it. But I better not see this again. And came on and closed the door. I never had to say anything to them again. Nor did they ever mistreat a patient again. They did not like it, and they tried innumerable ways to show me, you understand, that they didn't like it. And they used to tell the students, come back, when she asks you to do something, take it down. Hide your film when she gets ready to check. You know, all kind of little childish, immature things, but it didn't bother me. I got over that because I believed in myself and what I was doing was right. That's what you have to do. Believe that what you're doing is right. Do you believe in this? Is this right? Do you have the power within you to accept the challenge of change in your life and make a change in the lives of others for the better? Then use that power. God gives it to us. We all have it. It is within each one of us. When I came out of the surgery, I said, oh God, why am I here in this condition? I feel like a robot. There's nothing I could do, everything someone had to do for me. And when you hear about people saying, oh, they mistreated that poor woman in the hospital. I went in to visit my friend and her tray. That woman that was in the room, her tray was there with the top on, they didn't even help her. Well, I know what it's like. Because they brought my tray one day and set it down and turned and walked out. And I was not hungry, but there was that desire. I wanted something. I wanted something. And I couldn't get the top off. I couldn't turn over and reach to take the top off. So the only thing I could do was take my hand and ease it under the top and try to get whatever little crumb of food I could get and put it in my mouth. You understand? Whatever it was, I put it in my mouth. And so when the lady came back and picked up the tray, I didn't say anything. She saw that the tray was like she left it. So she brought the lunch tray. So I said, Miss, and of course at that time the voice, my voice was very raspy, not like it is now. And I said, Miss, I know it's not your job, but would you take the top off and just sit it at the foot of the bed, please? I know it's not what you're supposed to do. I said, would you be kind enough? And she said, oh, sure. So she took the top off and she laid it on the bed. So that way I was able to get a little bit more. But she didn't move. She didn't move that little table over. But she did take the top off. You understand? She did. She took the top off. But I was thankful that she took the top off. Because at least I could get over there and get whatever I could to put in my mouth to sustain me for that time. And so then they said, well, you're not eating. You're not eating your food. So we're going to give you something like this Sustacal or whatever it is. We're going to give you that because you're not getting any nutrition. Now, I was not about to take my reserve strength and explain to them if I'd had someone in here that would help me eat, I'd probably be able to have some food, and you could see that the food was gone. But I didn't go through all that because it wasn't necessary. Don't you know if you work somewhere that if someone, the condition, if you are concerned, or if you're about your job that you're supposed to be about, you know what's going on in your patient's room. So you know whether a patient can get their food or not. So I did not feel I needed to take my little energy that I was storing up and building up so I could get out of there to tell them why I wasn't eating. So they found the Sustacal didn't work. So I said, whatever you bring me, I will eat. So I managed the soup. That was all I was really able to eat was the soup. Couldn't get anything else down. My throat was too raw. Couldn't get anything down there, but I ate the soup. And gradually, I was able to sit up. And on my first day up, I was so thrilled, and I had company, and they came in, and I asked the nurse, could I sit in the chair? And she said, yes, we'll put you in the chair. So they helped me out, and they put me in the chair. And I sat and talked as best I could with my best of friends, closest friend, and another friend. And then they left, and so as they were going out the door, the nurse came in, and she said, "We're going to put her to bed." And I said, "Could I sit up just a little bit longer?" I was so thrilled to be sitting up, to have gotten that far. And I could see out my window the lights of the city. And so she said, "Oh, yes, you can sit up." I said, "Thank you." And I sat there. And then I sat there. And then I sat there. So I said, "Well, maybe I better tap." Now, my bell button is way over there in the bed. I cannot get out and get over there to get it, you understand? But the doctor, in his wisdom, knew that I could go just like that. So my bedroom, my hospital room, was opposite the nurse's desk. That way, if anything happened, and my doctor was in the room next, his room was next to mine. So therefore, if anything happened, they were able to get to me quickly to try to save my life. So I said, well, the next person that comes along, so the only thing I had was the little embassy space around the table. When I hear somebody come, I hear the feet in the hall. Now, if you keep hearing the same old thing, you're going to see what it is, right? You're going to see what it is. I mean, what's going on here? What's all this tapping about? What? No. So I said, "Oh, Lord, what am I going to do?" So I said, "I've got to somehow get to bed." So I took and me in the chair as far as we could until I could reach my night table. And in the night table was my phone. And I opened the drawer and I said, "Oh, I've got to remember a number." And I said, "Lord, help me to remember someone's number." And so my girlfriend who had just left, her number flashed, like the numbers flashed in your mind, flashed in my mind. Because remember now, I've been under a lot of anesthesia, out 15 days before I really came around. So my mind has really got to come back up mentally to alertness and awareness. And so her number flashed in my mind, and I dialed it, and she picked up the phone. I said, "Gloria." She said, "What's the matter?" But she's the one who had the phone put in the drawer. No phone calls. And I said, "I want to get in the bed." "What? You're still up?" I said, "I just want to get in the bed." And she said, "Kaboom," and I heard it ring. "What?" We went in there. She said she didn't want to go to bed. Oh. I was just in there. She didn't say she wanted to go to bed. Just in there. And I heard kaplunk. And here she comes, and I heard the call on, "Come on, she wants to get in the bed." And so they were not nice about putting me in the bed. You understand? Because someone had to call them. So they got me in there. I wasn't pleased with the way I went in there, but I got in there. I got in the bed. And before she went out, and this was my nurse, before my nurse went out, because the person who helped her, they'd gone, she went in and turned my shower on, turned off my lights, and closed the door. And about 3 hours later, this fall in the room was the showers. And I said, "Oh Lord, this woman is punishing me. She's punishing me." And I said, "But I am not going to give up. I've come this far. I'm not about to let anyone take away what I have come to at this point." And I reached over that night table, and the ice had not melted in my water. So I kept dipping my hands in there and bathing my lips. And I bathed my face until it all dissolved. And at 5:30, the door opened, and the lights came on. And the doctor said to the nurse, "What kind of treatment was that I heard last night?" And she says, "Well, I read your notes, and your notes said that she's having a vocal problem, and she can't talk. I thought steam." And so I used steam on her to see if that would help her. So he came in, so I looked at him, he knew I knew. But the way they said it, it was in such a way, you know, that if you're not alert, you might say, "Oh, that's what she was doing. She was treating me with steam." So when she came in before she went off from duty, I said, all the years I worked for the hospital, I never mistreated a patient, nor did I allow my subordinates to mistreat a patient. And I said, but you may be sure somewhere down the line you get yours. I never saw her again. She worked that floor, but she did not work my room. And she stayed far away from me. There were a lot of instances, but that one evidently went all the way up, because when I got ready to leave, they came to me and they said, if there were changes that you had to make in our staffing, can you give us some of the changes? I said, I have only one change that I would make. If a person is in a field too long, sometimes they become hardened. They become callous to the people that they're supposed to treat and take care of. I feel that they should seek another position within the hospital. Move on to another position. Move into administration. You don't want to deal with people? Move into administration. You don't want to deal with patients, you don't want to deal with the patients and the people who come in contact, then get a position that you don't have to come on one-on-one with people. I said, that is my only, that's the only thing that I can tell you that I would do. And so they said, thank you. They wanted to know if I was going to have any file complaints. I had none to file, because the law of the universe is such, what you do unto others, you may rest assured, will be done unto you. Not in the same manner, but you will say, and you've heard people say, Lord, I wonder what I did. What have I done? It may not come back the same way, but something is going to make you call on the Lord. And so knowing this, I didn't have to write out, go to a lawyer, you know, sue the hospital, have all the big commotion about it. Because the law of the universe, which each one of us lives by, will balance itself out. I'm here standing before you because I want you to recognize that spiritual law within you, that you can overcome the most base of things in your life if you're willing to accept that oneness that you have with you and God. Accept that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Master, and you are willing to give up yourself to Him. I have this, that at times when I feel like I need something to really, really get me in tune, or there's problems going on around me in my life, I like to listen to this, and I hope this is working. I played it upstairs to be sure it's working. Oh, that's the wrong. Well, plugged in. Thank you. That's it. It wasn't plugged. And this is what I want you. Surrender. Surrender to God. You're all in all.
I have another table order. I said I have a table order that keeps happening.
You do. Surrender all. Know that your body was created as a perfect instrument for all of God's adequacy. Every nerve and muscle of the body know this. It is its nature faithfully to perform every function easily and completely. Infinite God has never seen anything that could resist his movement. He has never had the slightest qualm concerning his ability to carry the load of the entire universe. Every star and planet is manipulated easily and effortlessly into its march through space. His is my mind. His qualities are mine. His effortless approach is mine also. He is my strength because his thoughts are my thoughts. Nothing could possibly overload me or break me down, for it then would be overloading the Father. And this is not possible. I face the darkest moment of life with his courage. There is no desire in me to shrink or run away from any load I have to carry. Even the heaviest trial could not overload me now, because the Father in me doeth the work. I allow myself to rest in the quietness of God in me, for he in me is greater than anything in the outer world. Every cell of my body nods assent to this prayer and responds to the new flow of spiritual energy coming directly from the Father. And I'll have copies of this if any of you would like to have it. And this concludes
You know, I asked Joyce to handle this because based on Joyce's life experiences, you know, nobody can tell you something better than a person who's actually been through it. And you know, I was listening to a tape, and it was by a doctor, a medical doctor, and he said, try to avoid the landmines. He said, if you, in order to be able to live successfully, you have to avoid the landmines. And he said the landmines would be like having to go to a hospital. So do everything you can to avoid ever having to go to a hospital. Now, based on what Joyce has told us, we can see that actually we've got to stay healthy. We've got to eat the way that God intends for us to eat.
Right.
Genesis 1:29, and try to stay out of the hospitals.
Well, even more so because all of your major hospitals are now letting go of your registered nurses.
That's true.
You see, your major hospitals let people with minimal experience eventually will now be taking control of you when you enter the hospital. People who were trained and had the knowledge, who could recognize, could look at you and recognize. The first time I had, my second open heart surgery, the little nurse that took care of me was brilliant. She was a brilliant young woman. She was so good that I said, why are you a nurse? said, you should be a doctor. Because a lot of times when the doctors come in, they would stop and talk to her. And I said, you missed your call, you should be a doctor. What she did was she went on to open a clinic in Liberia. And I keep hoping and praying that she finally came out before this last trouble. She was that good. But she was dedicated. When she bathed, you knew she did not mind bathing you because she bathed you in a way that you felt comforted. She just slapped that water on.
Joyce, you just said something that is very serious and very deep for my heart. That is that in this country, and I don't know if it's going on in other supposedly civilized or developed countries, there is a devaluation of service. So that even the statement, you are brilliant, why aren't you a doctor? You should be a doctor. In some way, the doctors or those people with the greatest amount, it's happening in my field too, social work, you are expected to be administrator, giving orders, writing books or whatever, and not giving service, because service is here, and then you go here, and then you go here.
Right.
And I would like to see a world where service, for those people who can give service, those people who have the spirit, have the heart, could be compensated, because some of the going from here to here has to do with recognition and compensation.
Right. Yeah, compensation almost being at the top now.
And some level of knowing, that their positions are secure and respected. So I wish for the medical field and for all of our professions that we could get back to an appreciation. It started years ago when the doctors used to do house calls. They knew their patients by name. They remembered birth dates and little scratches here and there, all kinds of things, and it was commonplace. It was expected. Doctors wanted to be that good.
Right. It's what is going to have to happen, and I hate to say this, but I think there's going to be a collapse first.
True.
You understand? There has to be a collapse because the change we'd like to see is not going to occur. Everything has to collapse and start over again in order for it to be right.
I was thinking when she was talking, I just had an experience 3 or 4 days ago. My daughter had a baby, and supposedly one of the biggest hospitals and the best, University of Michigan, at the hospital right there. And she had a cesarean section. It was a special needs case, and whatnot. And after the baby was delivered, they put her in a room, and then nobody came to do anything for her. And so when I went back to see her, the same trash was in all 3 cans, running over, no floor being mopped. Her bed wasn't changed. She didn't get any personalized attention. So I reported it. And I let them know that this is not going to be. Now I want this trash moved out here. The minute you walked in her room, you could smell the garbage. I want this moved out. I want this floor mopped. I want it cleaned up. Okay, then the retribution sets in, just like you said. So what happened was, when they had discharged her, and then back to what Thelma was saying, it is getting worse. It's going to get worse, because with the cesarean section, she came home 2.5 days later. And you think of what that girl had gone through. And they just put you, they operate on you, and they put you out. And if she had not had a little small temperature, they would have put her out the day before.
Yes, 24 hours.
Used to be 10 days.
Right,
Now
24 hours.
with a cesarean. All right, so the retribution.
Now cesarean is 48.
Oh, it's 48 now?
A natural birth
That's
is
24.
See, that's a shame. So what they did, here's where they got back at her, because they said the day shift should have cleaned her room. All right, so then they were taking her stuff out. She had beautiful flowers. Her husband paid $45 for a little basket of flowers. She had beautiful flowers and balloons and cards. And when they went down to the car to take her things down and came back to get it, they threw it all out. They threw all the flowers, the cards. Now they couldn't clean that room while she was there, but the minute they cleaned have to do everything out.
Right.
But did we, but I reported it.
Yeah.
I called the head administrator and told
It
him,
should.
I want to be compensated, flowers I bought, my daughter bought flowers, husband bought flowers,
And all the
balloons, all the cards, I want to
Cleared
be
that out that
compensated.
quick and
That
then
quick,
clean the
threw it
room
all
for
out.
days.
Haven't cleaned the room for days.
Because see, all that was really supposed to go down when she left.
Absolutely, see, but,
When the patient.
They
but
were
no,
supposed to
but
take it.
listen,
Oh, sure,
no, but
there's a
wait.
part that
But
they take
They
with
take it with you,
everything.
but her husband took her out. They didn't even take it to the car.
Oh, no.
And then on top of that, they have a rule in that hospital that if you leave anything in that
Then they're not
room,
supposed
they
to-
have a room for it.
Right.
They label it, undated, label it, person and name, put it in there so you can come back. She said, we have things in there that we're expecting people to come and get. Been in there 5 weeks. And they threw
But do
hers,
those people know?
They
that
threw hers
they
out
threw hers out. Oh, yes, I told him.
within minutes.
Within minutes, he said 10 minutes. Her husband told me 10 minutes and they threw it all out.
Yeah, that, she wasn't, they weren't, she was not supposed to leave the hospital without an escort.
That's true
That's
too.
right,
That's true too.
Right,
She
but
was
yeah, that's-
car.
They brought her the elevator.
Yeah, that-
I mean, they brought her the wheelchair.
Oh, they took her in the wheelchair.
They took
No,
the
they were
wheelchair and
supposed-
left it
But
for
the
her
nurse was
husband.
supposed to take her
It's
with
her
her.
charge, the nurse was in charge of
So
her.
that just goes to show you what kind of attention and
That you're
care
getting, the service.
that you're getting.
Right.
at the
How much
hospital.
So it's getting worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, if you think that that is, think of what your educational system is going to be. Because in our state, our governor believes strongly that it is not necessarily to be a certified teacher to teach in Detroit public schools, not only Detroit, to teach in the public schools. He feels that people with business acumen, and I'm not saying anything about the men in here who, you know, are businessmen, but he feels that they are just as capable of teaching a classroom as a teacher who has taken all the classes that teaches her how to teach.
You see?
So
And
now
they
you don't
are
have to be
in-
certified anymore?
No, they don't want to necessarily have to be certified.
Oh, I thought you had to be certified.
This is what he is putting into place in the
Oh, this
schools
is what he's
now.
trying to do now.
Not trying to do, what he is putting into place now. One of the high schools in Detroit has a businessman as its principal.
Well, the businesses have always felt that they could run schools better.
Well,
And
throughout
some of them
the
probably, and they
country,
probably
But
do.
the ones that have taken over the schools, there was a report in the New York Times that the children were doing worse. not
well,
better.
Yes.
And so they
Baltimore,
really-
I think it's Baltimore's a prime example,
They had a wonderful
where they
report
wanted to do
on,
that.
yeah, on how well the programs were. They weren't doing well. But back to hospitals, now, I find even today, I don't know about the overall thrust, but a lot depends on your hospital. I was in Sinai, and I couldn't have been given better treatment. I have to say categorically, the University of Michigan, even the doctors in Ann Arbor say if you can keep from going there, unless it's a serious burn case, then
Don't
this
go
is-
to Ann Arbor.
Oh, because the arrogance and the inability, well, I shouldn't say inability, unwillingness to be compassionate toward the patients. They just become-
so you get even worse?
This is the University of Michigan, unless you are a burn patient or, you know, really.
That's what I mean,
they're
if you're
excellent.
worse, you get worse too.
Well, no, they're good with their burn folk. I have to give credit where credit is due. But it's the attitude of the doctors, and it filters down, because I've dealt with them extensively, and the attitude is very, very, just
I'm
pure
glad to hear
arrogance.
that. She won't go back. I told her. That's it.
Well, Joyce, we want to really thank you for a wonderful presentation.
Yeah.
And I'd like a copy of that. Oh, excuse me.
I do too.
Okay, as soon as we get the copy.
Okay, so do we have the schedule now? What's the next
Yes,
item on
Oh, your
schedule?
book.
What time is
We
it?
gotta have a break.
It's on
She said we were having a break.
No,
Okay,
okay.
have the
What
break.
time is it?
3:30.